Right, so as promised, here we go, more of Daily Race C, which was insane in my opinion. It is genuinely the best race Gran Turismo has featured in a while, and in my opinion, GR2 and 1 are the go-to race cars. So as the clock starts ticking, the cars line up, it's lights out and away we go. Starting in first, it was a very solid qualifying lap I did. But with this race being one, quite a long one too, high downforce cars and 3 on Suzuka, it's quite challenging to keep your position. Because there's a lot of variable at play, from tire wear, to other drivers, to consistencies, this and that, and there is just a lot of pressure in this race. Speaking of pressure, you can see how the Italian is heavily pressuring me into making a mistake. However, I stand firmly in first, and he's gonna have to deal with my dirty air, which will 1 wear out his tires faster, and 2 give him a little less downforce to work with. And here's the thing with, again, GR1, GR2 cars, there is way more at play than GR3 and 4. And one of the main things is dirty air, which is nearly unpresent in GT3 and GR4 cars. Aside from that, you have to be insanely accurate with every single input, which is again much less present in GR3 and GR4 categories. A single mistake and a single misjudgment with the wheel will send you off into the wall, which again adds to the stakes, adds to the adrenaline, and adds to just the overall feeling of the race. It's a much better race, to be fair. Which is why it really pisses me off when Gran Turismo do not feature quite the best cars to drive, in my opinion. But to be fair, people don't really know how to drive these cars, and crashes are everywhere. They're basically everywhere. You cannot avoid them. Unless you're in a top split lobby, it's going to be very, very difficult to avoid dirty drivers and, you know, crashes in general. So I'm on my way to finish the first lap, keeping my position, but the driver behind is in the slipstream range and he will be gaining on me as long as the straight is. Even through 130R, he still has that advantage of the slipstream, which he will follow all the way through until the chicane before the final corner. So it's a 3-way battle into a very tight corner, and you can see a contact has happened. I've been hit in the rear, which will hinder my performance and will pretty much slow me down on the straights due to my rear, diffuser and wing being damaged. Which is, I think, why Gran Turismo do not feature these races a lot, because people just don't really deserve to drive these cars, as awesome as they are. They just keep hitting each other and pretty much assassination attempt left and right. This is more of a war zone than an actual racetrack, as, the driver himself hits me off. Despite me being an advocate for, very, very nasty battles, the disrespectful fights, this and that, it's not a fight. This is purely an assassination attempt, which is why I quite dislike it. I love when a driver, fights side by side for 1, 2, 3 laps at a time. But this, one corner, either one of you is in the wall. Which again, it's dependent on lobby structure, and the lower ranked lobby you are, the worse the racing will be. So I don't know, until people get better at the game, which is very unlikely because people are just they don't improve for some reason. We're not gonna see many of these races unless it's in a private lobby with private competitions, this and that. And now as we head into these two right-handers, you can see I'm gaining on the French driver very nicely, and you can see I'm basically on his bumper right now, and I'm gonna be putting pressure onto the hairpin leading, and I'm actually faster than him, but overtaking is another thing. So I attempt to dive on the inside, manage to somehow not go off the track while preventing him from, doing the famous switcheroo. And that there is classical overtaking. You just cannot go wrong with it. It's chef's kiss. And as I'm enjoying my, P1 lead, as I try to expand the gap, he is still in my slipstream range, and there's a very, very long straight coming up ahead, which is just gonna play in his favor. I'd rather be in his position than in my position, and if that was the case, because he's just gonna be gaining and gaining and gaining all the way to the end of the straight, which is not at 130R. It's at the it's basically at the hairpin. I mean the chicane. Because 130R is a corner, but it's a very high speed corner, and the downforce is not really that affected where you have to lift. So but basically what happened now is he's very close to me, and is basically on my bumper preparing for probably a lunge on the next corner. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be very aggressive with the defense and basically hug the inside wall, give him no opportunity on going on my inside, and telling him you're gonna have to go somewhere else. Now this is insanely aggressive defending, and you rarely see it, especially coming from me, since most of the time I do the overtakes and not really defend them. But I managed to go the corner nice and clean. He's still very close behind me, but as we go through the S's, the downforce will hinder his performance, probably pushing him back a little. So as we go through the S's, again, you're going to see the gap between me and him just increase and increase as, the dirty air just messes with his wing, and the drivers behind do pressure him, which again makes him go even farther away from me until I make the worst mistake of my life. And it was not the first time I make this mistake. Such a silly mistake can cost you so much time. And this was all caused basically due to peer pressure and aggressive driving, and you know, I was going a little too fast than I should into that corner, and yeah, basically what happened. So after losing 4 positions, it's pretty clear I want them back, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to chase down and hunt every single driver here. So as we see, you can see the Italian driver and the other Hungarian driver, they're fighting together, which just plays into my favor as I gain myself a 0.5 penalty. But it's not too much of an issue as I'm gonna overtake the Italian driver going into this corner, into this right turn. They're going a bit, you know, questionable racing, hitting me, but we do make it through, both of us alive and intact, as the French driver makes a mistake and I go straight through him. No issues right there. So that's 2 overtakes into 1 sector, up into P3. I still have 2 more if I want to reclaim my position, as the French driver sends an overtake down my inside, which I will have to, you know, make the time back somehow, which is easier said than done, especially in quite a competitive lobby, as I lose another position to the French driver. It was the Italian last time. But again, you can see with my aggressive downshifting, I'm trying to make the position as a bit of contact happens. I tried to hang it around the outside, but didn't really work into this corner. So I'm just going to stick behind and look for an overtake into the long right-hander that's going to come. So I'm sitting nice and cozy into his slipstream. There isn't much he could do in terms of defense, aside from going hard on the inside, but he didn't really do that, which a bit of contact has happened between me and him, which again is unwelcome, but incidents happen. And to be absolutely fair, I let him more than enough space to take the corner on the outside, but he just turned into me. And now running close behind the Italian driver after he makes a mistake, I'm gonna be pedal to the metal and again send an overtake on the inside of this corner, which is actually my favorite corner on this circuit. You can be very aggressive and carry so much speed through the corner. It's just really nice to nail it down. And now back into the podium places, I'm looking to overtake the Italian driver up ahead, which should be no big deal. You know, I have the skill, I have the pace, I just have to chase him down and yeah, basically overtake him. So as we head into the very long straight, you can see I'm basically on his tail, chasing him in the slipstream, and you know, just gaining and gaining and gaining on him. As we go through 130R, I'm basically on his gearbox right now, and I'm looking for an overtake on the inside of the next corner. So I'm gonna be very aggressive with downshifting, but I'm just not close enough for an overtake. So he does make a little mistake where I had a chance on the outside, but he defended it quite nicely, and we both dive into the pits as he goes off the track and gains himself a 3-second penalty for, you know, crossing the white lines, which plays exactly into my favor. So, you know, as I'm changing the tires, I just know no matter what he does, I'm gonna overtake him as he serves the 3-year-long penalty, which, trust me, it's painful and so easily avoidable. If I was him, I would have probably quit sim racing altogether. But yeah, I did make a slight mistake into the entry of that corner as I just misjudged the speed I was going in. I thought I couldn't carry that much speed, but clearly you can. So, you know, I just have to catch up even more to the driver ahead, but he's not fast enough. So I'm basically back on his gearbox, which he does not seem to have the confidence into this section of the track. Which again, my S's is again a very, very nice section for me. I really like it. But again, as we head into the two right-handers, which, you know, they're very aggressive. You have to be very aggressive. Brake, turn, carry your speed, eat the curb, and then, you know, brake again, turn, eat the curb once again, and ride the curb all the way out. And that's how you ideally take that corner. But again, it's very difficult and again very satisfying once you lay it down properly. So I'm putting the pressure on the Italian driver up ahead, which, to be fair to him, he's really good on the defense. He's being very, very good on the defense, so he's making it quite challenging for me to overtake him. But again, he has the 3-year-long penalty, so I won't really have to worry too much about him, as he's gonna serve the penalty and question his life decisions for diving into the pits a bit too late. As I make a slight mistake with the trail braking, I brake a bit too late, which leads to a slower exit than his. But again, that's not too much of a worry since he's gonna serve his penalty either ways. So now again, as I'm chasing him down the long straight, he serves his penalty, I go on overtake, and now I'm looking to hunt down P1. The position the position I truly deserve. So as I go through the final sector, you know, to start the next lap, I'm being very aggressive with everything, using every single inch of the track. Again, being very hard on the downshifts, as if you over rev, you actually slow down faster into the corners. And now I've caught up to the first driver, being Italian actually, and I will try to overtake him going into the chicane. So chasing him down on the slipstream, I'm going to be looking on his inside, but I'm not close enough, so I will just be very aggressive with the brakes and just hope for something to happen on the next corner where I could just overtake him through the S's or something. But he's quite a nice driver, especially on the defense. He's he's not bad by any means. So I'm chasing him down the straight, and you can see him going semi-defensive. So I'm gonna go to the outside in hopes of baiting him, and I tried to bait him, but he covers the inside immediately as he sees me switch over, which leads into a bit of contact, but nothing too major. He read me like a book, which basically raises my respect for him and makes me even more eager to overtake him, as it's more of an ego now than, you know, just a position on the track. As I follow him through the SS, I'm being very sure to use every single inch of the track properly and managing the dirty air very nicely, as I made the same mistake once again. So as I'm wiping my tears, I just want, I'll be honest with you, I just want to finish second at this point. I'm not even gonna try to overtake him. As I go into the long left-hander, I make another mistake where I go a bit too wide, and I decided to go for some, drifting. I think I should join Formula D, drifting instead of any sort of racing. Actually, I think I'm better at drifting than anything else, if I'm fair with you. Now, with the sarcasm out of the way, I did finish in third, and I was salty. I'll be honest with you, I was quite pissed off about this result. I was planning to do another race, but unfortunately my PS Plus ran out, so that was it for the day for me. So as I crossed the line for the final time, I claim P3.
Lewis, brilliant job. Damage limitation. Fuck them all.
Copy. It's not over yet.